Jake, West Virginia got really good news today. West Virginia, the Mountaineers, and Mountaineer Paul was all over this one, will get 4 guys back. A judge saying that he's going to rule in favor. And here's kind of the BYU twist to this, too. There are a few Big 12 teams that are waiting on whether or not they'll get their players back this season, whether it's eligibility, academic eligibility, or this Diego Pavia rule that has become prominent in college football. A judge just gave 4 West Virginia players the go to compete this season. And according to Mountaineer Paul, they're not just contributors. They could be starters for Rich Rodriguez. 4 guys is plenty enough to change a roster and a football team going into 2025. I think this is huge for West Virginia and one of the bigger storylines to come out of the end of the offseason.
Yeah, I know that you have West Virginia as a surprise team in the Big 12 in your rankings. I've been of the opinion that I think they're going to be finished near the bottom, but you're right. Having at least 3, Mountaineer Paul says at least 3 of these guys he thinks are legit starters, and one he says is a fringe guy. You're right. Having multiple guys of that variety, if they're starting caliber players, that can absolutely bolster a lineup and probably make me look foolish in terms of my thought that they're probably finishing the bottom half of the league. But I think this is a big win for West Virginia. Yet again, eligibility is all over the place. And you mentioned there's a BYU angle to this. Well, the BYU Cougars, while they don't have 4 players pending, they've got 1, and it's a position of need. Now, they have a really nice tandem of LJ Martin and Sione Moa at running back, but they're still waiting on Hinckley Ropati to hear back from the NCAA. While he didn't pursue legal means, because this is an injunction coming from a judge that's allowing these West Virginia players to play, I think it could have some impact on the timeline, because Hinckley's been waiting for multiple weeks now for the NCAA to rule on his eligibility, and hopefully he can turn to the NCAA and say, hey, these guys got the deal done. Why am I still pending?
Hinckley Ropati, it's a great example. Give me, in the context of West Virginia here, if I'm talking about a BYU guy, and this is a perfect segue, talking about a BYU guy that could be a game changer, give me kind of the 1-to-1. If West Virginia just got 4 Hinkleys, what could this mean for a roster?
Well, the biggest thing is Hinckley Ropati is probably the number 3 back for BYU, but what he has meant for BYU during his time as a Cougar is he's been a change of pace guy, and he's been played in multiple roles. He's a willing pass blocker in particular when it comes to obviously passing downs, that you can trust him to make sure that the quarterback has a guy alongside him who's going to step up and take on an oncoming blitzer that you need the guy to make that block for. I'm not saying that he's LJ Martin, because LJ Martin is far and away BYU's best running back, and Sione Moa is clearly the Robin to LJ's Batman. But the thing I look at with a guy like Hinckley Ropati is, especially in light of Pokai Haunga being unavailable this year, he stepped away from the program for at least this season, according to offensive coordinator Aaron Roderick. Well, you need some depth at that position, and that's what a guy like Hinckley Ropati can be. To the comparison of West Virginia, while he may not be a starting caliber player, he may be that quote unquote fringe guy that our good friend Mountaineer Paul referred to at least one of these players as. And that's what BYU needs. You need quality depth, especially at this level, because as we all know, injuries, they happen often, and you got to have guys who are at least adequate to step up into those roles.
Can I ask? I am going to ask him. I shouldn't have you give me permission. I'm going to do this no matter what. 4 new guys, 1 guy, 6 guys, 2 guys are given the go on August 20th. Are we overblowing it a little bit, or is this truly a big boost? Because we're on the precipice of college football season.
It depends on how in game shape these players are. I know that Hinckley's been around the BYU football programs. I've been out at practice. He's been there every single day, albeit in street clothes. And you see him after practice. He's working on his speed. He's working on his timing. He's making sure he's doing everything he possibly can do to be ready. But I also had a conversation with him, and I essentially asked him, hey, are you ready to rock and roll? He said, yeah, I'm ready to go, but I need to actually get hit. I need to actually get into what they call playing shape. And that requires putting on the pads and taking those licks from linebackers. So yeah, there is a question mark about the readiness of these players. It may take them 2 or 3 games, Drake, to really get up to speed. And at that point, if you drop, in the case of West Virginia, maybe 2 or 3 of those games potentially, that could put you behind the 8 ball while you get these guys in game shape.
I'm excited if I'm a West Virginia fan. I don't think these 4 will hurt you down the stretch. Now you're given more options. And I do think, contrary to Jake Hatch's belief in most of the country, West Virginia could be your surprise team sitting at 8-4 at the end of the season. I believed that without these 4. I think these 4 are going to further bolster that roster, give them an opportunity to shock a lot of the country that is going to put them behind it. And rightfully so. You would expect after a coaching change, a guy who hasn't been there in 20 years now that it would take a second to rebuild under a new head coach. And maybe that is the case, but I have confidence that West Virginia can still win. I also have confidence, even with a freshman quarterback, that BYU is going to be okay. I wonder if Jake Hatch believes the exact same thing. This is a Locked On Big 12, Locked On Cougars crossover. Today's show is brought to you by Open Phone. I'm a small business owner myself, and Open Phone has been huge to make sure that I'm not losing customers because I'm not always on my phone. Open Phone gives me the opportunity to go on vacation, to take a nap, to, not have all of my employees, and they're only a couple, constantly next to their cell phone because they need to answer it for customers. You move on when you call somebody at a company and they don't answer. You move on, but Open Phone's the number one business phone system designed to streamline and scale your customer communications. Don't juggle two phones. Have like a shared inbox. Don't worry who's handling this. It's just hey, Open Phone is going to be the perfect opportunity for an AI agent to handle after-hours calls and answer common sense questions. See why over 60,000 businesses trust Open Phone. They're offering Locked On listeners 20% off your first 6 months. OpenPhone.com/Locked On. OpenPhone.com/Locked On. They'll even port your existing phone numbers over for free. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers with Open Phone. Today's show is also brought to you by Prize Picks. As we get closer to college football season and the NFL, Prize Picks is the most convenient way for me to stay in the action. I go to Prize Picks, I picked over on this guy, under on this guy, over on this guy. I combine them all together, and Prize Picks can pay me a whole lot of money on the back end. That's right. Whether you got your eye on big name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, Prize Picks makes it easy to get in the game. Prize Picks is offering major max discounts. Avery Johnson, max discount. That's coming up. That's 0.5 pass yards. Yeah, 0.5 pass yards. Dak Prescott, max discount. 0.5 pass yards. I do think they'll hit the over on those, by the way. The flex play option is a total game changer. Even when one of your picks misses, you could still double your money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 play. Prize Picks, run your game with Prize Picks today.